Morning, everyone. It's really early morning, I know, but still, let's do it. Morning, everyone. Perfect. Yeah, that sounds like Ukraine. Cool. Um, so yeah, that's me. I'm Trishul, and that's me whenever I go back to my hometown, India. Today, I'll be talking about progressive web apps, also known as PWA. Just a quick question: how many of you know what PWAs are? Good. You already did half of my job. That's perfect. So just to revise, what are PWAs? Anyone want to speak a word about it? Let's make it more engaging, Like, it's really early morning for me, and probably I may sleep, so just wake me up in between. I'll really appreciate that. So once again, what is a PWA? Good. Nice one. Perfect. So progressive web app is a mix of native app and a website. It is good from both words, some of the website, some of the native app. So progressive web app uses modern web technologies to give a website an app-like experience. It has discoverability of web and engagement of an app. So as Alex Russell put it, they're just website that took all the right vitamins. How many of you agree on that? Okay, by end of the talk, probably this ratio will increase. Let's see if I can do that. That's my task for the day. So why are we talking about PWA here? Anyone? Sorry? It's fast. It's challenging. It's lightweight. Perfect. Keep it simple, because it's JavaScript. Right? As a JavaScript developer, I really feel to exploit all the ways where I can go with JavaScript. So that's why I talk about PWA. Beyond that, it's installable. It works offline, like most native apps do. It has faster load time because of the resource caching. It has push notifications. I know like most of the websites annoy us with this, but still, it helps. All in all, it gives an app-like experience. So what a typical PWA looks like? Something like this. You have to add to home screen button. You have an icon, if this one, if makes sense. Once you install it, you have a splash screen. And once the app is open, you have something like this. Everyone with me on this? How many of you have, in a way or other, used a progressive web app before? That's cool. Perfect. How to make a progressive web app? First things first, you have to have a manifest. So that's how you include the manifest in your app. And this manifest is basically consisting of a name, the icon, start URL, background color, theme, these kind of stuff. Just some more information about your app, what it does, what kind of logo it has, what color theme it has, what background URL, and most importantly, start URL, where to start from, like maybe index or maybe app or maybe server, whatever you want. Have you heard about this magical thing, service workers? Perfect. So service workers, to be precise, are small scripts which browser runs in background, independent of a web page. These are building blocks of PWA. Most of the code that PWA runs just because of service workers. One of the major important thing which service workers do is caching. So let's not get confused with the browser caching. It is the caching of resources. It doesn't make even a network request. Let's see how it's done. There is very first event install, and on the install we define a cache name and assign some files which we don't want to fetch network again. We just cache that file, and we capture the fetch event, and whenever a network call is made for these files, instead of going to the file from network, They just serve it locally. And that makes it a bit faster and available offline. Push notifications. So these service workers also allow us to create push notifications. So whenever service worker is activated, we can subscribe to the push manager. And whenever there is a push event, so a push notification is shown on the app. Enough of PWAs. Like I know more than half of us know about PWAs. But this is talk about PW and steroids, right? So what can be the steroids? Any idea? Anyone? I thought I was the only one who was sleeping. Maybe anyone? A wild guess? For sure, it will not build the muscle. I'm very sure about it. Anyone? Sorry? Sorry, once again? Offline. Offline is done by service workers. What else? Native codes? Kind of. Yep. Okay. So I again keep it simple. Steroids are something which enhance the functionality of a PWA. And in my case, it's modern web browser technologies, precisely browser APIs. So with the modern web, we have many APIs which actually can interact with device features apart from DOM. Like we have always constrained PWAs to DOM, maybe service workers, or push notification, or caching. We haven't exploited the horizon of the ability of a PWA. So in this talk, most of the thing we will be discussing about how to interact with more device features. So prerequisites of these steroids are basically HTTPS only and browser compatibility. Most of these browser APIs are still very nascent. All the browsers do not support them, but most of them support. So whenever we use them, we have to make sure like it's compatible to our target audience. So let's start with those steroids. Shall we? Again, Ukraine, shall we? Perfect. I think it is a time, like, like in the night, Ukraine is different in the evening, and in the morning, Ukraine is different. Is it so? Cool, not a problem. So let's start with the first one. How many of you know this API, vibration API? So do you know you can use JavaScript to vibrate your phone like any other app, native app? Anyone has tried this before? Okay, so that makes easy for me. At least I will give you something new. So it's as simple as that. Windows.navigator.vibrate. So it has two formats. First thing is like number of milliseconds, and then second is like intervals. Like for 300 seconds it will vibrate, 300 milliseconds. Then 200 it will not, 400 it will, 200 it will not. So that keeps an interval. So we have a quick demo for that. Obviously, you cannot feel the vibration from here, but if you want, you can right now open this in your mobile and try to click on any of these. People at the back, can you see the URL there? Can you now? It's sorry? So that's a catch. Like that's the first prerequisite, like browser compatibility. You have to check what browser APIs works on what platforms. So that's a downside. Like most of the browser APIs widely supported by Android platforms. So that's a catch. Okay. Did anyone succeed to open this one on their phone? Did you get the vibration? Oh. Oh. Yeah. There goes your answer. Not for Safari. For sure, it will be for Chrome. Firefox is our choice then. that was like kind of promotion I didn't want to, but okay, why not? Cool. So that's my point is like it's so easy, like giving a better UX to a user, like just the like just instead of just maybe sound or something, you can put vibrations to make it more happy. Going back to our presentation, second one, visibility API. How many of you know this one? Perfect. I have some for everything. So it's really simple. What it does basically, it gives you event whenever your visibility change. By visibility, I mean that frame is visible or not. For example, any Minion fan in the house? No one. Okay, I may be the only one. So basically, this is a video, and when I navigate away, not full screen. Okay, this is not working for some reason. The ideal way it should work is whenever I navigate away, it should stop. And as you know, whenever you go live demo, things go beyond your control. Probably this is my moment. So let me check once again. Did it happen? Okay, that's good. So I'll try again. Okay, for some reason it's restricting. But the point is, like, whenever you want to control your events, which depends on if the user is on that window or not, you can use this API. And this directly works with one event listener that's called as visibility change. Okay, let's go to the next one. Speech synthesis. Has anyone of you used this one? Perfect. At least we have one. So what it does, it's like like a voice modulator. Whenever you type something, it speaks you out. And the best part is, it's just your browser. You don't need any third-party, not third-party, maybe remote APIs, which does this. So all you have to create is just a speech synthesis object and get the voices which are available in your browser, and a new object which is called as speech synthesis utterance. And then you have 3 parameters which you can play with. One is voice, which kind of voice you want to say it. What's the rate of the sentence? I mean, how fast, how slow, or the pitch of the sentence. So let's try, and let's keep our fingers crossed. It should work. So I'll give you a heads up. There are lots of demo in this talk. So we'll calculate the better percent, what worked, what don't work. Like, stay just with me. So let's do something. How are you, maybe? Okay, fingers crossed.
How are you?
Perfect, that worked. So the point is, we are not using any remote resource. It's just my browser, which is helping me to do that. Maybe I modulate something, maybe the rate.
How are you?
Maybe fast, maybe high pitch.
How are you?
That's weird, I know. Or maybe some deep voice.
How are you?
So point is, like, we can try something Italian. Let me make it rate a bit slow and pitch normal.
How are you?
The computer thinks it's an Italian accent. I don't know if someone approves or not. So let me search if we have a Ukrainian one. It's really hard to find for me. I got a Russian one. Will it go a bit? No? Sorry, maybe I should have installed my browser in a Ukrainian language, maybe. Okay, so the thing is, like, this thing totally works right from your browser. You don't need to install any APIs, or you don't need to install any libraries or codes, or maybe any third-party app. It's directly from your browser. And that means it can directly run in your phone. So everyone fine with me? Like, am I going too fast or slow? Is it fine? The tempo is fine with everyone? Everyone on with me? Or it's like it's gone? Perfect. Let's see the next one. I'm sure many of us has used this specific API. Geolocation API, sounds similar, sounds familiar. How many of you have used it? Almost everyone. So there's nothing new there. Whenever we want a location of the place, we just get a geolocation.get current position. We get the location, latitude and longitude. So what I recently found that there is a change event also. Like we have a watch position. I never used it before, never before recent. So that's exactly what we need when I create a app which tracks a location of a person reached or not reached. So this specific thing helps me to track when the user has reached on certain place or not. Or maybe I can use the same for geofencing, right? Like the user goes out of that specific place or not. So in addition to this, there is something called as geofencing API, which is still in W3 standards. They are still working on it, not in production. But when it comes, the geofencing will be way easier than this. Let's go for next one. Speech recognition. This is a tricky one. Can you guess what it does? Anyone? I'm just checking that everyone knows English or not, because perfect. So this recognizes the sentence which I say. And this is the most tricky and fail 90% of the time when I demo it. So if it fails, blame the laptop, not me. OK, let's do it. Shall I click start? OK. How are you? Perfect, there you go. So again, same as the previous one, speech synthesis. OK, it's OK, you can stop. Seriously? I want you to stop right now. Isn't that awesome? Like, and here's the thing, like when you don't want it to work, it works. Come on. OK, I'll just reload it. That's my solution for everything. Just give it a hard restart, you know. I was too lazy to put a stop button there, so that's it. So the thing is, this is right in your browser. You don't need to again install any API which we are discussing here does not depend on any other third-party API. When I say third-party, apart from your browser, not a native app or not a maybe any JavaScript library or not any component. It's right in your browser. You can use this to create beautiful apps. So it has a variation also. Oh, I'm getting ambitious right now. Let's see if it does. So from past 6 months, I'm taking German lessons, and my teacher says I'm 0, so I'll still try. Was willst du? That's impressive. So this means, what do you want? OK, there you go. It's enough for this API. This is a bit nasty API then. Trust me, last time I was presenting it, it failed miserably. I literally begged it to please work, but it didn't work. Probably it likes you people, you see. So shall we move to the next API? Perfect. Media capture API. How many of you know this? How many of you used it? Perfect. So this basically gets all the media streamed from your laptop. Maybe it's video, maybe it's audio. So this just gets a get user media. It get media devices and get user media, and we have to define which media we want, like maybe video, maybe audio. For sake of this, I'm just using let's say video. So all we have to do is it will return a promise and a stream object. Now we can decide what we need to do with this stream. Okay. So for just making things simple, I just display it into the browser. Media capture API. Shit, I opened lots of it. OK, here you go. So it requires your camera permission, for sure. Oh, it's black. OK, sorry. It was just camera cover. OK, it looks weird. So what I'm doing in this this very example is I'm getting a video of my camera and trying to screenshot whenever whenever the button is clicked. So let's do this. So this is a screenshot, not the best one maybe. Okay, maybe. So I try to play a bit around with this, just using the normal canvas thing. So I use very normal CSS to either make it blur, maybe a different contrast, maybe grayscale, this one, or maybe a drop shadow. I know this looks really weird, but the point is, like, just using the small things, you can give really good effects. So these you can create small and effective apps using these core browser features. This enables you to, go beyond your just DOM and see what other device features can you implement in your app. Does that make sense? It's going faster than I really thought. Fortunately, all my demos except one are working. So, okay, let's go for the next one. Network info. So, anyone has used or heard of this one? Perfect. So, as the name says, network info. It gives you information about network. Are you online? Are you offline? Or what is the connection type? What is the effective type? Basically, bandwidth. And the best part of this is this gives event on change. Like, I'll try to connect my mobile if I can. Perfect. It mirrors. Okay. So let me try to open this one. So here we are already. Just a reset to be sure. Let's go with the network info. So this is showing the current status of my network. I'm online, connection type is Wi-Fi, bandwidth is 4G, save data mode not, and downlink to. So just to make sure it's working, I'm just turning off my Wi-Fi. Connection type is cellular, I'm still online, and data is 4G. Okay. Now I'm going total offline. I'm offline, connection type is none, and obviously this is from the previous thoughts. I was lazy enough not to update that. So the point is, like, you are getting every event, how the user is behaving with their network. Like, for example, you have to restrict download on your, you want to give your user option to restrict download when he is on 4G, just to save data. That's a very crucial thing to do, right? That you can do right from your PWA. Make sense? Cool. I'm glad this one worked too. And you see how confident I am on my devices, right? Cool. Next one is orientation. How many of you know this API, orientation API? How many of you used it? Perfect. Can anyone give me an example where they used it? Ah, that's good. So again, for this, we need to see on my phone how this works. Oh, sorry. Obviously. So this thing behaves on the direction of my phone. If you see how it's behaving, when I rotate my phone in directions, it gives me exact position in which my mobile is. So maybe while creating a game, gestures, or whatever, what your creativity allows you to do with your mobile, right? Just rather than typing 1, 2, 3 or ABCD, this can be used as user input, and you can create really awesome apps with this. I personally really like this API. Going back to our slide, so what happens is there is only one listener here, device orientation, and it emits event which basically give you 3 axes, X, Y, Z, right? And they are like alpha, beta, gamma, and they are from different rotation angles. So accordingly, you can judge which position your user is. So maybe I tried to create a game with this for a demo, but yeah, it didn't finish in time. So maybe a racing game or something like that, how the handle works. Perfect. So let's go for the next one. Battery API. How many of you have used or heard of this? None? 1 or 2. Okay. So as the name says, it gives you information about your battery. Okay. So maybe we can just check if it is working. Okay, battery charging level is 100%, charging time 0, and discharge time infinity because there is no discharge time because it's still charging. And I would love to show you what if the battery is not being charged, but if I do that, this connection will be gone. So let me try on this. Oh, you're still here. Cool. This is for my laptop. Obviously, it's not in charge, so it's showing battery not charging, and same information for different thing. So these things again enhance your PWAs, right? Like what's the battery? You're giving a better user experience. For example, you are creating a game and your user battery is at 15%. You can just tell him like, hey, please charge your phone. So these things basically help you to enhance the user experience. Let's go for the next one. How many of you know this API? Perfect. Any guess what this will do? No. Sorry? Social network. That's what exactly it do. It gives you the native share option. Like for example, you are on WhatsApp, you want to share something to anything, you just get an device share pop-up, which app you want to share with. Okay, so let's try this one, and I'm very sure this will fail. So double finger crossed. Okay, so can everyone see this? Okay, so I will just hit share, and there you go. It's right from my website. It's not an app, it's just your website. Okay, and it has all the apps which I have installed in my phone, like any other native apps. Okay, so this is one of the things I really like it, because this gives me exactly the app feeling to my apps, whatever I create. So let's quickly try to send something. Maybe I'll just mail. It has the title which I send, it has the text, and it has a URL. So let's try to change something. Maybe JSFest Live, welcome to JSFest Live, and we already have a URL. And let's share it. So it's right from my browser. And similarly, if I do to any app, which I should not do, it's public. Sorry, I'll skip that part. So what happens is like why this URL object is different from the text, because when it goes to maybe a social media app which can convert that URL into maybe a thumbnail or something, so that helps there. So it takes care of that. For example, if I share this one on Telegram, so the text will be different and the URL will be rendered as a URL. So that's how this share API works. So let's have a closer look on this API. So it has just 3 objects: title, text, URL. And this is pretty new API, and probably just right now supported by Chrome Mobile 71 maybe. Chrome Mobile 71. So in upcoming days, probably it may work, but right now it's very limited. So from here, let's recap. Like, can anyone tell me the best API he or she liked? Share. I thought I was the only one. Which one? They're all? Geolocation. Yeah. Any else favorite? Speech recognition. But it always don't work. It's very tricky. Sorry? It will be, yeah. Which one? Sorry? Media capture, right. But media capture like really works well when it's mixed with some other features, like for example filter, and like one of the app one of someone created was really good, like in media capture. they use that, it built on canvas, and then from the canvas you can actually download the image. So it was saving it to your gallery or somewhere. So that's how they use it. So this, which is the next one, is the last one. And the worst part of it is I had a device which went kaput. So I cannot show it on the device, but I can actually explain what it does and how it does. So how many of you know this API, Bluetooth API? 1, 2, 3. Ample people know. That's good. So this lets you to interact with devices via Bluetooth connectivity. For example, you have a let's say heart monitor thing. Okay, so you can connect with this API right from your browser and get the events from that heart monitor, and accordingly you can plot a graph or maybe send data to third-party API or wherever. So how that works basically, this request for devices, and this is a bit tricky. You have to know the device name, or there are some optional services which is basically written on Bluetooth GET services. This is kind of official source. So the vendor which is using this has to be in accordance with the rules, which most of the vendors do. So what we do is, like, first we get the connect event. Once it's connected, then we get primary services. And what primary services, like what all the things this Bluetooth thing can do. For example, the heart rate monitor can send you heart rate thing, right? And then they get the characteristics. So characteristics can be read or write. And then finally, when you have everything, you can just write the value or read the value. So this will be really nice if I could have shown you on the device, but it happens. So I know this is sad, but I'm more sad than you guys. Like, this is the like the best one which I can do, but it's fine. Apart from this, there are many more APIs, and many more APIs are in production right now, which is not stable maybe, but it's worth reading about it, knowing it, so that you can enhance your PWAs. So, like, for example, Web Audio API, Payment Request API, Memory API, Web USB API. Like, how cool it will be, like, you have a printer, USB printer, and instead of depending on the device drivers and everything, you can directly do it from your web browser, right? Cool. So here are some success stories. Do you have anyone from Ukraine? Any story from Ukraine who used PWA? Any company? Anyone? Not yet? Maybe after this. I'm really optimistic, trust me. Here are some really good success stories who actually proved that how PWA helped their business, right? So I'm very sure, like, everyone knows Forbes, Trivago, AliExpress. Anyone know Book My Show? Anyone know Ola, Flipkart? These are Indian startups, basically. So, like, these people actually performed a case study and explained how their business, with numbers, the actual numbers, like how that affected their business, how the development cost was slashed down, how the users were happy, how the UX was better, these kind of stuff. So there's a very, I'm not sure if you can read it here or not. Can anyone from the back, can you read it? Nope. I'll just try to write it somewhere. Or maybe just, nope. Where can I write it? Now can you see? Perfect. So this basically has all the data about these studies, where you can actually go, if you're really into PWA and understand, like, why you should move to PWA or why your next project should be PWA. You can actually go here and check how effective they have been, right? Coming back here, what is the future of PWA? This has been the question, like, for maybe 2 years. Anyone? Sorry? replacing desktop applications. Installing via app stores. Anyone else? Replace native. Probably. So these, what I'm going to say is totally my opinion. So it may be wrong, it may be right. But how I see it, like there are native apps, there are PWAs. The problem with the current ecosystem right now, we want to create a native app for everything. And that's where the problem happens. Not everything should be native. There are lots of development costs, lots of efforts, and that's not required. This use case can cover almost everything. Which things it do not cover, go for native app. Why not? But most of the cases, we don't need a native app. For example, you have a business website. All you want to do is register a user and maybe do some modifications in his or her account. You don't need a native app for that. Maybe PWA will be super sufficient for it. You can use these APIs to enhance his or her experience, right? So that's my take. Everything will be there because in the tech scene, we know this. Nothing goes out. Like people still use jQuery, right? Nothing goes out. We have everything, but the point is, what should we use and when should we use? So probably that's a better question to answer. This is PWA's future according to me. WebAssembly. This is a super amazing stuff when it is like blown to its full potential. This replaces everything. How many of you know about WebAssembly? Perfect. That's how powerful JavaScript is right now. I'm not sure do we have a track on WebAssembly here or not, but it will be really good to know about it if. And yeah, for sure, more APIs, better browser support will surely help it. There are W3 standards, but not every browser have it right now on them. So maybe we can go there. So here are some resources which you can actually look and get help from. And I will end this talk with 3 words. Let's do it. How many of you are on it with me? That's a nice conversion rate. And with that, thank you.
If someone have a question, please raise your hand.
Thank you for your speech. I wanted to ask, so progressive web apps have a potential to replace native application, including desktop application, probably. And what I really would like to have is the ability to put some web application to my dock and just run it on my desktop. And to my knowledge, Mozilla doesn't, Firefox web browser, desktop one, doesn't have this feature at the moment. So I wanted to ask, as a Mozillian, can you tell if it's going to happen anytime soon, this like support for progressive web apps for desktop?
I'm not sure at the probably I'm the right person to answer that, because for that maybe you can tweet at Mozilla or at Firefox. That will be a better and a more official reply rather than me saying anything. Hope that helps.
Anyone else? If no question more, let's give a round of applause for our speaker.
Thank you.